that. So for you, it's 3 sails. Now, what do you think that GPS also needs to know? A clearly defined target. God, this is such a nightmare. I should just go without these slides. And it's got to know where it's starting from, right? Because if I'm not clear on these things, by the way, the GPS we had in our plane took 15 minutes to warm up, 15 minutes to figure out where it was, and if we tried to taxi for takeoff, let alone go flying, we could be miles off course, dangerously off course. You don't want to be miles off course over Afghanistan. That's a good way to get killed. And then you can draw the line between here, and then you have those little behaviors, those actions that you take on a daily basis that actually march you toward hitting your target. Does that make sense? That's how a GPS works, super simple. Goals, purpose, and strategy. If you've got those 3 things, you can hit anything. Now, distinction number 3, man, I apologize. Let me ask you this. Which number is bigger? Oh, there's no water. 100. Can we all agree 100 is the bigger number? Great. Now which one's bigger? 1/10. Notice any kind of a correlation? There's a relationship. Go back to like 4th grade math. What's this number called? Well, the whole thing's a fraction. What's the bottom number called? Denominator, right? The bigger the denominator. Thank you, my love. I appreciate that. The bigger the denominator, the smaller the value, correct? This thing's less valuable than this one. Here's the truth about excuses. Every single person's got them. Everybody's got excuses. TJ Irway's got excuses. I've got excuses. You all have excuses. Misha's got excuses. Here's the difference, though. The distinction is you have to make your answers bigger than your excuse. So going back to that mathematical equation, this is what it looks like, all right? Your answers have to be bigger than your excuses. If your excuse is, I don't have the money, I don't have the know-how, I don't have the time, that's fine. At least be honest with yourself. But then you have to get clear on what the answer to that's going to be. What the heck are you going to do about that? And it's not watching another Will Smith video or another whatever with Les Brown talking over the top. You don't need motivation, gang. Motivation keeps you stuck. Stop watching those things. I'm serious. Motivation keeps you freaking stuck. It's a dopamine hit. It's an actual drug addiction. You're a drug addict if you're watching those freaking motivational memes all the time. I'm serious. It's true. Look it up. It's biology. But if you can come up with an answer on how to get through that excuse, now you've got something. But is that enough? No. You have a plan, but what do you need? Action. Bingo. Because, listen, you said 1/10 was bigger than 1/100th, right? Yeah. And if I times this thing by 0, now how much is it? 0. The net gain is 0. So we just did a fabulous job of overcoming an objection, of getting past our own BS, but now we got to do something about it, right? So you got to execute. You got to take action. Does that make sense? Yes. Everybody getting this? Yes. What do you understand about this? What do you understand about this?
Take action. Take action.
And what else? Everybody's got excuses. It's a question of can you show up. Here's what I will tell you. This is the best way I can put it out. Your excuses is your story, the story you make up about yourself, the story you make up about your past, the story you make up about your future. Your answers, that's your truth. How you show up, that's who you really are. Remember that. Take a picture of that, put it on your corkboard or whatever you need, because anytime you're up against it, you're like, this is not going to work. I can't. Find the answer, because the answer is your truth. Do not let the excuse be bigger than your answer. Don't let the story you've created to keep you stuck, to keep you broken in that place. Does that make sense? Yes. And of course, you got to back it up with action. Man, these slides are killing me. All right, distinction number 4. This is one of my favorites, by the way. We've been talking a lot about this. Fear is a performance-enhancing drug. Fear is a performance-enhancing drug. It's not about being fearless. Did you hear Misha talk about that? Yes. Somebody was saying to me the other day, they're like, man, you must have been fearless in the cockpit. I'm like, hell no. Not once. I flew with a guy that was fearless, and he freaked me out. Only time you've ever seen me legitimately nervous around another human being is around a fearless pilot. somebody who's like, watch this. You don't want to be around those people. They will kill you. Exactly. It's not about being fearless. It's about understanding fear, having a healthy relationship with fear. It's like having a neighbor, a next-door neighbor that's a total pain in the ass. Anybody ever had one of those? I had this guy when we lived in San Diego, California, that had a business where he took senior citizens to and from their appointments. So he had these vans, like 4 or 5 vans, and he would park them in front of my house. I'm like, dude, can you not do that? Drive me crazy. And he didn't speak very good English. He was from Russia, and I was like, he's the nicest guy in the world. Super nice guy. But I was trying to communicate with him, like, can you please not park the van? And he's like, sure, I'll park the van. Can I park it in your driveway? I'm like, no, you're not hearing me. Fear is like that next-door neighbor. If you can build rapport with that next-door neighbor of fear, then you can be pretty freaking unstoppable. Think of it like this. It's like a thermostat. Fear is actually the green zone. You want to be in fear. You're an entrepreneur. Now, does it mean every single waking moment of your day you have to be like, oh God, I'm in fear? No. But what it does mean is if you're not doing the stuff that puts you in that place where you're like, holy shit, we're really getting after it, then you got to dial your game up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Make tougher decisions, take bigger risks, play the game bigger. And it doesn't have to be something outlandish. It could be we were talking about taking massive action. I agree with that. But guess what? Sometimes taking minute action is just as valuable. If you're so strapped with fear and you're like, I can't, all I'm going to do is just go Facebook Live for 5 seconds. I'm just going to make sure it works. I applaud you. That's courage. I'm going to do a Facebook Live for 30 straight days. If you're deathly afraid of the camera and the best thing you could do is turn that thing on and go live, then you, my friend, are courageous. Get some. Here's the next part, though, is worry. Anybody ever worry? Worry is the beginning of the end. It's one thing to have fear, but if you sit and worry, it's the beginning of the end. And this is where everything falls apart. Panic. One night, we're going to go fly a mission for the SEALs over Afghanistan. We just got the intel report that we're going to take off. We were flying out of this base in the Middle East, and at the departure end of the runway was a bay, like a big body of water. And during the daylight hours, you could see fishing boats out there. And all the fishermen are out there catching fish to either eat or sell in the markets. You get the idea. It's this small body of water, but it was big enough that you have to overfly it. At night, you could see all the little lights out there. Fishermen are still out there in the water. The intel officer comes in and goes, okay, listen, we just got some fresh intel that Al-Qaeda's got some dudes out in the bay posing as fishermen, but they have shoulder-launched surface-to-air missiles. So here's the deal. You guys are going to have to do a rapid departure. So what we do is go full throttle. Now, you got to remember, we're full of fuel. We got 12 people on board. We got missiles on the wing. We're like loaded for bear. So can you imagine the airplane being slow and sluggish? I mean, look at it. Does it look like it, By the way, the thing's pretty badass. I'm just going to say, it's not an F-14 Tomcat, but it is massively overpowered. I mean, it's a fistful of throttles. It'll get up and get after it. So we're taking off. We're already slow. And then all of a sudden, bam! Engine number 4 goes out. Now, not only are we slower, our climb rate just dropped by 25%. And we can't turn. Our turn radius is super wide. Is that a great time to panic? No. What do you think our crew did? Do you think we panicked? No. Oh, God! The engine's on fire. We're going to die. This is exactly what happened. Sir, engine 4 is out. Copy that. Engine shutdown checklist. I got the controls, and then the co-pilot's radioing to tower. Tower, we're declaring in-flight emergency. Engine number 4 out, declaring requesting immediate turn, because we had to dump fuel away from the bay. So they're going to take us way out over the desert. Copy that. And then he switches frequencies and calls the base frequency, our home base, and says, hey, prime time 801 just lost an engine. We're going to go we're in the process of doing the shutdown. Scramble the alert, which means our backup crew. So we go out, dump fuel, go through the emergency shutdown checklist. Everything's great. We land, come to a full stop. They fix the engine. The other crew got scrambled, so they took care of the SEALs. Mission accomplished. Because we had a plan, and by the way, we used something called negative visualization. Now, I realize for those law of attraction practitioners and woo-woo people, this is going to be painful. But I'm here to tell you right now, it's a bunch of crap. People say, well, if you visualize, you're supposed to stay positive all the time. And if you visualize positive things come to you. And it's just like magic. It's this bouquet of joy. Until it's not, until your engine goes out at 200 feet and you got a guy down there that wants to kill you. The good thing is we had done the negative visualization. We had planned for the absolute positive worst.